Okay, well, the time's 11 o'clock. I'll hand over to you, Brian.
Thank you, Bradley. Welcome to everybody. I take it you've all had the flyer on today's event. Anyone not had the flyer? No response. In terms of the learning outcomes, apparently people who exercise live longer. So that speaks for itself. And I found out when watching the London Marathon that a lady was running the London Marathon to address her mental health, which was extremely interesting. The benefits and the learning outcomes are all on the flyer. And our plan in running these webinars related to lifestyle is to try and make the webinars interactive so that you are asking questions, you're finding out more about what the experts on movement and mental health are talking about. So when we have the session of questions, I hope you feel comfortable to chip in and say a few words. I'd like to hand over now to Jeremy. Jeremy's going to talk about can I just check, is Jeremy first or?
Yes, it is.
Jeremy's first. Over to you.
Okay, over to me. Let me share my screen. Okay, can you all see that?
Yeah, that's very good.
Mm-hmm. Good. All right. Okay, the benefits of exercise are for mental health and physical health. So this is a short presentation that covers how exercise and activity, or lack of it, affects both our physical and mental health. So this presentation is for information only. It's not medical advice. So we evolved being active and not inactive and sedentary, and our modern lifestyles are really incompatible with our evolution. So how much exercise do we do in the UK? I can tell you it's slightly more than in the EU as a whole, but only 10% do regular exercise, and over 1/3 never do anything. And the trend is towards less activity. So I've used this quote from Prof. Noakes before: the benefits of exercise are unbelievable. Now, if you're told to do more exercise by your doctor, it's more than likely that they want you to lose weight and that they think exercise will help. It seldom does. If you have to exercise to keep your weight down, you're on the wrong diet. But that's no reason not to do some sort of physical activity. Your doctor is unlikely to tell you that exercise will prevent or even treat depression or lower the risk of dementia or even certain cancers. But there are some who are more enlightened out there. If exercise were a pill, it would be one of the most cost-effective drugs ever invented. So says Dr. Nick Cavell from Northumberland and Tyne and Wear NHS. And he's not the first person that I've heard saying this. They've provided an information leaflet on the benefits of exercise for mental and physical health. They do say that one can request the references from them, though what they claim is generally borne out by many studies that I've seen. They say it's medically proven that people who do physical activity have a lower risk of depression and dementia, but also heart disease, diabetes, some cancers, and having weaker bones. And I'm going to add the obvious, which is a lack of exercise means weaker muscles. Nobody would disagree with that, I don't think. But what has this got to do with mental health? It turns out that's really important. These studies show this as well. The first one at the top show that there's a clear association between fitness and mental health. Now the second one needs a little bit more explanation because they word it in scientific words, but essentially it means more muscle, less depression. And lastly, body composition plays a role in common mental disorders. They believe that muscle activity can release factors which nourish and protect the neurons of the brain. And their study is trying to show this. But of course, maintaining and improving muscle mass is not just down to exercise, though. Nutrition is equally important, and that means eating adequate protein. Researchers from Brigham Young University in Utah and others strongly recommend animal-sourced proteins as the better option. I could do a whole presentation on that one myself. Now, exercise increases lifespan. And this study examined the effect of walking on biologic aging. That's not your actual age, but an estimate of your health age. So I need to explain this a bit more. There's something called telomeres, and they measured the length of telomeres. So, okay, what are those? Telomeres are attached to the end of chromosomes as a protection for the chromosome. The shorter the telomere, the less protection, and this can impact on important cell reproduction. No telomere means the cells die or become senescent, meaning they just sit there and do nothing and cause inflammation. The summary is that a shorter telomere equals a shorter life. And they can measure these telomeres with a PCR test, which you may have heard of lately. But what's this got to do with exercise? Well, the study then showed that regular walkers have longer telomeres and were estimated to have a biologic age 7 years lower than non-walkers. In other words, regular walkers live longer. Just looking at exercise lowering the risk of heart disease, the odds of walking for exercise or leisure decreased with increased risk of heart disease. That's not a surprising result. My mother had a weak heart, and in late life she needed a chairlift to go upstairs. Walking for exercise was not something she wanted to do or even could do. But which came first, the chicken or the egg, the heart disease or the lack of walking? So I'm going to go with the heart disease first, because I think people get sick and then stop walking rather than the other way around. So on this one, exercise lowers the risk of diabetes. And even though there was no weight loss, exercise lowered HbA1c values. This included any type of exercise, aerobic or resistance, and walking at least 2 hours a week showed positive results. So just looking at exercise and cancer and hypertension. Remember the information leaflet from Northumberland NHS that I mentioned in the one of the previous slides. It mentioned that exercise could lower the risk of cancers. And these charts showed that breast cancer was 2 times lower. The risk of breast cancer was 2 times lower in the high fitness group as compared to the low fitness group. And fit men had a lower risk of colon and liver cancer. It also lowered hypertension, the risk of hypertension, by 3 times. So moving on to exercise with mental health. There's a close relationship between physical and mental health. Exercise is at least as good a treatment for depression as other clinical treatments, as you can see in the first chart there, such as therapy, the other clinical treatments being therapy or medications. But exercise is mostly free. You can go out and do it. And with dementia, just being moderately fit is a big advantage. This was an opinion piece on exercise for mental health. I thought parts of the opening paragraph were worth repeating. I'll just read them out. In this era of exponential growth of the metabolic syndrome and obesity, lifestyle modifications could be a cost-effective way to improve health and quality of life. An essential component of these lifestyle modifications is exercise. The importance of exercise is not adequately understood or appreciated by patients and mental health professionals alike. Evidence has suggested that exercise can be an often neglected intervention in mental health care. And I think that's what this whole webinar is trying to show. So exercise helps with recovery from addiction as well. The Gateway Foundation says that exercise can curb cravings, provides routine and good habits, changes your thoughts. I know that when I'm exercising, I'm not thinking of other things. I'm thinking of my exercise. It can also help relieve stress and boost your mood. I personally can attest to that one as well. So take your dog for a walk or borrow your neighbor's dog. So the best exercise for you is the one that you can do and enjoy, but it's good to elevate your heart rate, work up a bit of a sweat if you can, and also maintain and even build muscle strength. Of course, all these should be done within one's own capacity. I know for myself that running is something I can no longer do, but walking, cycling, and indoor rowing are all fine for me. Sometimes the hardest thing is just to start. Once you've started, you can have a complete change of mindset. So let's have a quick look at the motivation. If you're not the active type, perhaps this can help. Jordan Peterson put these out, and I copied them from one of his YouTube channels. So imagine the person you could be in the future, first of all. Contemplate the consequences of not changing. Decide which is worse, action or inaction. Do not make the mistake that inaction has no price. The cost of inaction can be high. And do you know what action to take as well? And does the action depend on you or somebody else? And lastly, Exercise not only changes your body, it changes your mind, your attitude, and your mood. There are many resources around to keep active, such as the park run. There is one in Margate, Pegwell Bay, Walmer, Whitstable, Folkestone, and Canterbury. And I'm guessing also in Ashford as well. You don't have to run the 5-kilometer course. They normally do it every Saturday, but you can also walk and be in the company of the fellow movers, which would be good. So thank you and keep moving. That is my presentation, slightly shorter than the 15 minutes.
Well done. You're bang on time, Jeremy. Thanks for that. Has anyone any comments, questions of Jeremy, please? Hello, Jeanette.
Hello.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
Hi, welcome. Sorry we
Thank
can't
you.
see your lovely face.
Well, I'm not in great shape. I got really sick yesterday, so I'm recovering today. It doesn't look like COVID because I wouldn't be recovering in a day, would I?
No, I don't think so. You're
So,
a very fit lady.
well, plus I'm taking care of everybody who's sick in the house on top of that. So, but listening in, sorry, I had to take care of someone that's very sick at the moment. So there you go.
Okay, any questions from Jeremy? His presentation was the usual high standard, and he's obviously done lots of research. So anyone with questions?
Yes, I've certainly got one. My question for you, Jeremy, is I work in an office and I'm sitting at my desk quite a lot during the day. Could you recommend any simple exercises that I could even do at my desk?
Well, one of the things they say is every 20 minutes, get up from your chair, if nothing else. Don't sit in your chair for hours, just move around a bit. Just standing at your desk instead of sitting at your desk is better than anything. I mean, Eric may be able to offer some assistance to me on answering that question as well. And I'm guessing the other thing is just in the evenings or the mornings, whichever suits, go for a short walk, get the heart rate going up a bit as well when you do that.
Okay, thank you.
I know that Eric will be able to give you some answers on that when it's our turn to ask him questions. So thanks for that, Jeremy. I have a question, and I think maybe it's better to save it for Eric, actually, because he's the expert on exercise. You're the expert on the benefits of mental health. So I'll save my questions for later. Anyone else? Jeanette or Janet, any questions?
No.
No? How about Jeanette?
No, it was a very good presentation, very comprehensive.
Okay.
Just to let you know what works in the Netherlands is that they have bike paths everywhere. Everybody bikes everywhere. Biking to work is a really healthy thing to do. So that's great advice, I think, for people who have an office job.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Okay, let's move on to Eric's presentation, please. Eric,
First, Brian,
yep.
did Ollie want to say something?
Oh, I didn't know Ollie was here.
Yeah, just joined a little bit late. But yeah, I'll just emphasise the park run. I've been trying to get or start an initiative for my group of surgeries and patients and staff to go along. And yeah, you don't have to run, you can walk and you can volunteer. And it's just being a part of that event that's really uplifting, and just getting out. And I spoke to some of the volunteers last Saturday in my local one, and they love it. It's just sort of a real uplifting contribution to the event. So yeah, just getting out, and you can join it with your dog or push your pram as well. I mean, it's very inclusive, and yeah, just a really good feel-good factor for that whole event.
Could you describe the job that you do, Ollie?
Yeah, I do. I'm a social prescriber in the New Forest, and I do health coaching as well. So it's just helping people with lifestyle issues in non-medical ways and helping them change, whatever that may mean for them, and whether that's exercise or foods or linking them to an event like parkrun or whatever it may be. So yeah.
And you swim in the sea every day?
Not every day, but yeah, I do like a bit of cold water dipping. Yeah, I live in Bournemouth, so I try and go in every weekend year round. So no, that's another good one for mental and physical health as well. Not everyone's cup of tea, but yeah, there's more and more people swimming in the sea to help themselves, really.
Thanks for joining us, Ollie. Anyone else have any questions before we move to Eric?
Yes, I've got one. How do you find out about your local park run?
Google.
Google is the easiest thing. Just Google park run near me and you'll find it.
Okay.
They're there. Yeah.
Yeah, I have actually Googled it. And when in America, I did several park runs. And I believe Eric has also done so runs because he's come from America. So are you ready, Eric?
I am.
Good. Welcome.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. It's the participants that need to be ready.
Okay. Let me share my screen. And where is it? Okay. Well, first of all, let me just introduce myself. My name is Eric Holmgren, and I'm here to talk to you about the importance of physical movement as it relates to mental health and its effects on mental health. We're going to talk about the linkage between physical movement and mental health. We're going to talk about the integration of the three aspects of the wellness through movement triangle, which I've created. There are three aspects. There's structural, functional, and mindset. And finally, we're going to talk about the ability to take the first step from where you are right now. Once again, my name is Eric Holmgren, and just a little bit about me. I am a sports and exercise technician with the National Health Service, and I have over 28 years of experience in the health and wellness field. Some of my experience includes personal training, massage therapy, athletic training. I'm a USA track and field coach. Yes, I've come from the United States. I moved here about 8 months ago. And yoga, stretch therapy, just everything to do with the mind and the body. And one of my most valuable experiences in my life so far is working for the 1996 Olympic and Paralympic Games in Atlanta, Georgia. That was a really valuable experience for me. First of all, we're going to talk about the wellness through movement triangle. Once again, we have three aspects to the triangle. we have the structural, and I want you to think of, you know, dealing with what you've got, how you're born, you know, what you're made of. We can't really change genetics. The next aspect is functional. These are things that we can change. The third aspect is the mindset. And they all interact with each other to help us achieve, you know, better mental health, physical health. First, let's talk about the structural aspect. This is where you can learn to work with what you've got. Basically, there's an acceptance. We can't change the size and the length of our bones. We can't change, you know, the state of our organs. Well, not the state. In a way, we can change the state by how we live, but we can't change, you know, where the muscles attach on the bones, which is slightly different from each individual, because we're all unique. We're all made, you know, just like a snowflake. Nobody's exactly the same, made the same way. And we're talking about what you have, and change, there's some change possible, but change is very limited in the structural component or structural aspect. Next, we have the functional aspect. Think of the muscles. Think of how we can build and grow, and we can, you know, improve our strength. That's just one example of what makes us up, you know, the aspects or the parts of us that we can train, we can change. Our body is learnable, and I'll go over this again later on, but repetition is very important. The next aspect, we're going to mindset. And mindset basically is where we can enjoy what we've got. We've got the structural, we've got what we can't change, we've got what we can change, and then we've got this control center which drives everything. There are our minds are so flexible and adaptable. And let me say that the mind is different from the brain. The mind is, they're both what they call plastic. You know, they're malleable, you can shape them and form them. But there's a difference in that the brain is sort of, what do you call it? You know, you can see it. It's a structure. You can study it. You can dissect it and break it down. You know, do scientific experiments on it. But the mind is, you know, how can we prove that the mind exists? You can't see it, but yet it does exist. And we can also, you know, shape it. We can study it, but, well, I digress. Let me just say that there's a difference between the mind and the brain. Right now, I'm talking mindset. What we put our mind towards is anything that we can put our mind towards, we can achieve. So just as, let me move this. Okay, so just as a recap, the structural aspect is how we can work with what we've got. It is what it is. The functional aspect is how we can make the most of what we've got. We can go out and exercise. We can, you know, build our muscles. We can change we can improve our flexibility, you know, our strength. And then we have the mindset is, you know, where we can enjoy what we've got. Let's talk about how movement helps my mindset. So, I'm sorry, I have some notes here. Okay, so here's a few examples of how movement can help your mindset. You can have better sleep. Basically, it can improve your quality of sleep. It can enhance your mood. It can release hormones to help control of stress and anxiety. I don't know if you've heard that phrase, cocktail of hormones, but basically that's what it is. It's a mixture of those feel-good hormones that are released by the endocrine system that that affect how we feel, how our muscles and our organs function, and it can enhance our self-esteem. It can build our self-esteem. Movement can also improve your connection with other people. I forget who said it, you know, pardon me for being ignorant, but somebody out there said that no man is an island. It could have been Einstein, I forget. But it's true. It's true. We all need connection with other people. That's how we're made up. So that's how movement can help your mindset. And on the flip side of the coin, on the flip side of the coin, here's a few examples of how mindset can help your movement. Your thoughts can affect your neurotransmitters. Basically, neurotransmitters increase brain function, but also has psychological effects, such as learning, managing your mood, pleasure, and happiness. You tend to become open-minded to trying new things. And what does that do? That expands your possibility. It expands your options when you're dealing with a situation and you're trying to come up with some solutions. You become less likely to give up. It actually can teach you mindfulness, you know, how to live in the present moment. I don't know how many times I've been out there on a run and, you know, when I left the house, I'm thinking about a million things, but by the end of the run, I'm just like so calm and cool and collected. And it can also help create new habit patterns. And let me say again that how important repetition is in changing those habit patterns. Now, I want you to ask yourself, well, you may be asking yourself, where do I start? Well, it's real simple. Start where you are. And for example, it could be as simple at home. It could be as simple as sitting less, you know, standing up more, walking around, stretching, just taking time, taking a minute to maybe stretch your arms up and maybe explore, you know, if there's a tight muscle, increasing the circulation. Climb the stairs a few extra times. Join an online program. There are hundreds and hundreds of activities out there that you can find on the internet. Classes, you know, fitness classes, yoga classes, Tai Chi, stretching, and a lot of those, you can actually find some free ones too, but the online ones don't tend to be that expensive to begin with. And at home, it's so easy to dance like no one's watching. And yeah, Brad's got the idea. And so maybe we're not at home, maybe we're out and about. So take a walk to the shops. Instead of jumping in your car, just leave a few minutes early and, make extra time to walk down there or hop on your bike. Join a walking or a sports group. I moved here 8 months ago, and how much time do I have left, Bradley?
What's that?
What's that? I can't hear you.
I didn't get your question, Eric.
Oh, how much time do I have?
Oh, you're good for time.
Okay. So join a walking or sports group. I moved here about 8 or 9 months ago, and the first thing I did was get on Facebook, and I found some local groups, running groups, and I found a boot camp, and I just plugged myself in. And from there, I've gained some contacts and friends, and which has helped my mental health. Go out there and volunteer. Do something active like picking up rubbish on the beach. Climb a hill. You're walking through the neighborhood, and that your neighbor lives on that big steep hill that you would never go on unless you had a reason to. Well, decide to walk that, decide to turn right and climb that hill just because. Gardening, swimming, it's all activities that keeps you moving. And I think it's really important to ask yourself, what motivates me? And do more of those things. For example, music. Do you love to dance? How about friends? How about meeting a friend for a walk? Or there are a lot of group activities like the park run. I know you've talked about the park run. Yes, I've done many park runs, and it's great. People walk, skateboard, ride their bike, walk their dog. It's just a big community event, and it's totally free. I don't know why we don't have more of those. Enjoying your quiet time, maybe taking a solo walk along the beach, listening to a podcast, going for a hike in nature, walking the dog. I like what Jeremy said about walking your neighbor's dog. If you don't have a dog, find a dog. But if you do have a dog, you're walking them twice a day, right? Or 3 times a day, whatever. Add an extra walk or make your walks longer. Find a way to increase your activity. And raising money for charity, I'm referring to maybe joining a 5K, give yourself a reason, something to train for. And that doesn't mean running. I would say most 5Ks allow walking as well. Yes, it takes a little longer, but you're still doing the distance. And finally, I want to ask you, what time is it? I want you to look at the picture. The time is now. Okay, so that's all I have. And let me exit the presentation. Okay.
Thanks for that, Eric. That was very good. Open it to anyone else before I have my question. Anyone else got questions?
Well, you've inspired.
Well, I'd like to ask. I'd like to ask both Ollie and Eric, are you a personal trainer?
Who, Ollie or me?
Ollie, I know you are. Is Ollie still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I've done my personal training qualification actually, but I'm not actively doing it, but I kind of learned about it.
All right. Well, I'll ask Eric the question. When people come to you and are interested in you being a personal trainer, what is the motivation of them? Why do they want you to help them? Is it to lose weight? Is it to get healthy? I'm sure there's a whole range, and you will get this as well, Ollie. People saying, I really must start exercising. But what is it? Why are they saying that? Is it because of COVID-19 and social isolation and becoming a couch potato? Why do people need help?
That's an interesting question because yes, there are a multitude of reasons and motivations, but one thing that I've seen in a majority of my clients, and that just means, you know, more than 50% of my clients, is initially they came to me looking to improve their quality of life. And I think that's what it's about for most people is, you know, whether it's, you know, the fact that losing weight and looking and getting leaner will improve their self-esteem, or whether you know, they want to set a goal and accomplish the goal, say run or walk a 5K or a marathon or whatever. I think ultimately if I had to bottle it down into, you know, a main motivation, I think it basically is to improve their quality of life in some way or another.
And that's a very good answer, actually. Could I ask Jeremy to follow up on that? Because he has changed his lifestyle. And I know for the fact his quality of life has changed. So would you mind commenting, Jeremy?
Yes, but I've always done exercise. I've never not done exercise from being a rugby player in my youth. And when I stopped playing rugby, I always tried to go out for a run. I was never a very good runner. It was more a jog than anything else. And a little anecdote, when I used to go out for a run with my son, at the age of 11, he beat me. And I thought, well, I'll get fitter and catch him. That never happened. But that's just an aside. So I've always done exercise. My change in my quality of life, I'm going to say mainly came with change of diet. I think Ollie also knows this through his PhD experience, the public health collaboration experience as well. Change of diet is probably, for me, it was more important than exercise.
Can I ask a leading question, Jeremy?
Yeah.
I know the answer, but the delegates don't. You lost weight. What weight were you when you started, and what weight are you now? It's a personal question, but I know you don't mind.
My weight, I've actually weighed myself almost every day for the last, I don't know, 5-6 years. And I have those records on my computer on an Excel spreadsheet. And I've plotted that graph out. So before I changed my diet, I was about 95, 96 kilograms.
Wow.
you're going to have to forgive me putting it in kilograms. I don't know what that would be in stone, but
Quite a lot.
yeah. And then going on diet, changing my diet essentially to a low carb diet. I went from 96 kilos down to about 83 or so in the space of 2 months. And I stayed at that weight for, I'm going to say, probably 2 years. And then I decided that because I do a lot of indoor rowing and I wanted to improve my indoor rowing, I thought I want a bit more muscle on myself. So I started eating more protein and my weight went up. So I'm currently back at 92 kilos this morning. But my waist, when I lost, 12, 13 kilos initially, I had to go and buy a new set of trousers because my old trousers just were too big. They were sort of 38, 40s. So I went and replaced them all with size 36s. And those, even though I've put on almost another 9 kgs, my waist is still the same size. My 36 trousers fit me perfectly. I've just put on more muscle and not fat around the waist by having more protein. And it suited my indoor rowing because I'm now quite competitive on the world rankings on that. So, you know, I like doing my rowing as well. So, yeah, does that answer the question, Brian?
It does answer the question. 2 more personal questions. How old are you?
71.
And what was the rowing achievement that you achieved recently?
I haven't told you the recent one.
Oh, well, I'd like to hear it.
The recent one, the two on with rowing, both at rowing in a boat, the 2,000 meter length is the key length for people who go. That's the Olympic rowing length. So that when they do races, and you can do races on an indoor rower, on the Concept 2 indoor rower, the most popular distance is the 2,000 meter distance. So that's what everybody strives for, to be best at 2,000 meter. So last Friday, I did a time trial in I have my rowing machine. I can touch it almost. It's right next to me over here. Last Friday, I did a time trial for 2,000 meters and became the first ranking person in the world for this season. They do it on an annual season. So I went underneath 7 minutes for 2,000 meters, which is possible. I'm trying to think of an equivalent, but it's probably equivalent to a young runner doing a 4-minute mile. It's that sort of level of activity. So yeah, my rowing's going exceedingly well at the moment.
And that illustrates that as we get older, we don't get less fitter or less healthier if we work at it. And I shouldn't say this, I think at the age of 86, I'm another example of that because I exercise every day. I have a healthy diet. I've beaten diabetes. You have to change your mindset and change your lifestyle if you want to live longer. And I'd like to go on to asking the audience that as we get older, the kind of movement exercises change. And I have an iPhone and I keep records on my iPhone. And there are some very simple sedentary exercises that I follow, whereas I can't run marathons any longer or do triathlons, but I can exercise, but a different kind of exercise to what I'm accustomed to. And my thinking as a result of this webinar, would the delegates want a follow-up with more detail on the kind of exercises that older people can do? Because without a doubt, you're all going to get older, and it would be worth knowing what those exercises are, because Think Healthy Me can put our heads together and come up with improvements to this particular webinar or future webinars. So we will be sending out a questionnaire and would very much appreciate your feedback, because we can build on that with your suggestions and ideas. So any comments, questions?
That was really great. Great presentation. I just wanted to add that I saw something recently and it said age isn't a number, it's an energy. And we're actually, we become part of a collective consciousness of old. Old means this, old means that. And it's actually not true. And, you know, Brian, you're a living example of that. And I come from a family of high achievers. My two sisters were the gymnastic champions of Ireland. And my older sister, she nearly won the women's mini marathon, I think many years ago. She is now suffering a lot of problems with her body because she over sported. She's totally addicted to sport. She's 62. She runs every day. She goes to the sports school every day. She gets on her bike every day. She can't stop. So that's where it goes wrong. I have a brother also who can't stop doing top sports. He's in his 50s and he's got terrible problems with his body. So that's the downside of too much sport. And what I've also learned is to find the sport that suits you. You know, if you wake up on a day and you think, I have to go to the gym, don't go. I hate the gym. I go to boot camp. That's really fun for me. Anything to do with outside, biking, you know, running. I know that running really long distances is bad for your body. I always say, have you ever seen a dog or a cat run a marathon? We're not designed to run marathons. You know, the cat chases the mouse and then has a sleep. We don't even sleep in the afternoon anymore. So it's all about finding the sport that suits you. And anything, you know, take the stairs instead of the lift. Run down the road, or if you're walking, take sprints now and again to get the heart muscle going, because the heart, people don't even realize that your heart is a muscle. Get out of breath sometimes really helps. All those little things add up, and make it fun. That's the most important thing. Don't make it a chore.
Thanks, Janet. You didn't mention your swim in the Rhine, did you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's quite interesting because I learned from Wim Hof. I'm sure you've all heard of him, a Dutch man who defied the whole idea that we had to wrap up in the winter with warm clothes. He says, go out and get the cold is very good for your immune system. So I swim twice a week in this cold water. It's not easy, but afterwards it just feels absolutely fantastic. Yes.
Well,
and it also cleans your body of all the, because we've got a lot of EMF, you know, from our phones and everything in our systems. We're full of electricity. It cleans all of that. It grounds you as well. So, yeah.
Well, Ollie will tell you he swears by cold water. Is that correct, Ollie?
Yeah, I did retreats with Wim Hof and loads of other people 4 years ago.
Oh, wow. Oh, great. Yeah.
Poland, and yeah, I mean, I do cold showers every morning, 2 minutes. And,
So do I.
Yeah.
yeah.
Me too.
Anyway, can I have any feedback from the delegates?
Can I add that?
Has it been valuable to you?
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Janet.
Yes, it's been extremely interesting.
Hi, Maxine. I didn't know you were on.
Yeah, I sneaked in.
Jeremy, you want to say a few words?
I was just going to, I mean, I agree with everything that Jeanette has said on that one. One has to really exercise to one's own ability. Not everybody can do things that I do. I fully acknowledge that, and I do take rest days. I don't exercise every day. I take at least 2 or 3 rest days every week to do that. So yeah, everybody should exercise to their own ability. But building muscle, I think, is something which is not identified, and I think is really quite important. I don't know if Eric has a view on just how important muscle is to aging.
Eric?
Yeah, muscle density is very important to try and keep. Our muscles are breaking down. Our whole body is breaking down, as we age, and it's important to get ahead of the game and to try and maintain. I think the goal is to maintain and not get into a negative state as we get older.
Well, thanks, Eric. I'm conscious of the time, and one key learning point from me, following what Janet had to say about her sister and my own personal experience, is that despite being competitive, we have to recognize as we get older, we have to modify the kind of movement that we have. We can't do triathlons, we can't run marathons, but we can walk and swim and do other gentler exercises. And I think that's quite telling what Janet said about her sister, because I've come across it before, that people keep on doing what they've always done, but the body's not ready for it. Some people are successful, but most are not. And we need to slow down. I keep telling myself that, but I don't do it. Anyway, it's around about 12 o'clock. So my final request is please respond to the questionnaires that Bradley and John will send out to you. And we will build our future webinars on movement on the response that we get from you. But a quickie, I had a meeting yesterday with the leader of Thanet District Council and their cabinet members, and it was about active Thanet. And they lost officers due to COVID that I was working with, and active Thanet hasn't been active. So Think Healthy Me have volunteered to help them to encourage people in Thanet to become active. And it looks as though they may accept our offer, fingers crossed. So that's good news. So I'd like to end on that note and thank all of you for showing your interest and joining and contributing your thoughts and ideas. So have a good day, and it's good to see you, Janet.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Brian.
Thank you.